Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review for another one of these mini Daredevil reviews. There are about 10, 15, 20-minute reviews on the episode. This episode is Season 3, Episode 4, called Blindsided. And I think one thing I'm blindsided by every time a Daredevil season starts is the action. And we finally got some of that thick, heavy action in this episode with the big the hallway scene of the season.
Prison scene was amazing, dude.
Dude, wasn't that awesome?
That was amazing. Such great choreography. One of the good things about that scene too is how exhausted, to the point where, yeah, he got injected a little bit with something too, not a lot, just a teeny bit, but exhausted, passed out as soon as he got in the cab.
Joe, what also I really loved about it is up until this point, I say less so in season 1. I think there was a few moments like this in season 1, but in season 2, it was all ninja fighting. Yeah. And this was not a ninja fight. This was This was a brawl, a dirty brawl. And I agree with you. The choreography in the show, as much as the drama in the show really works, I think the character studies are really awesome as well. I think
the fighting's been brutal.
Yeah, the fighting's brutal. And again, this is only episode 4. I mean, this might be that highlight hallway scene that they talk about for a while, but I think this is a good indication of how fucking
it was just done really well. Another thing I really liked about this scene, and it's not just this scene, we saw a little bit of it too in a couple other of the fight scenes that have happened this season so far, but his ground fighting, when he's on the ground and he's on the ground with someone, it's not just get up and start fighting. He's throwing punches from the ground with poor leverage and still getting some pretty brutal shots landed, which is really good to see. I really enjoy the choreography. I like the realistic aspect of how tired they are while they're fighting, as they're fighting. Just when he's getting up off the ground in the fucking exam room after like the first fight is over, and he's just like, like he's fucking had his ass kicked. He didn't just kick ass; he got his ass kicked while kicking ass.
Yeah,
really well done.
And that's so much Daredevil, him getting his ass kicked while trying to make it work. And I think these first 3 episodes that we talked about leading up into this episode were a lot of preparation. No, I feel like this was the episode where the season started, where this really
great fucking fight scene, dude. It really was.
Dude, it was like, now we're on for business. And then I loved all the Fisk stuff, but we're not going to get away from that fight scene. We're going to go back to that in a second. But I like how that all came together. We were talking about in the last podcast, which we had some technical difficulties, so it's private right now, but I'll try to figure out what I can keep from that. But if nothing, what we said was that episode 3 was even more of a building episode, and it was all building to everything that happened in this one. Whether it was everything that happened with Fisk, whether it happened with the Foggy situation of Foggy deciding to run for office, Karen doing her Punisher thing, or Matt needing Foggy specifically, like stealing his wallet. We were saying, oh, why did he steal his wallet in the last episode? He could have stolen anyone's wallet. He needed the identification to go see the client, which that all is a big setup, a connection back to, was it season 2? Yeah, season 2, where Fisk says, "This is my prison. Don't ever step foot in here again or you're fucked." And Matt just ignores that because Matt's ego doesn't really believe he can ever be beaten. And you see that in that fight scene too. He was not getting away from that big giant dude. If that the Armenian guy, he would have destroyed him. I mean, Matt was exhausted
at that point. Yep. At that point, it was done. He'd already fought the one guy who came to give him the shot, then the 3 guys that showed up in the hallway, then the 2 prison guards.
That was the bet. And the 2 prison guards come rolling down the hallway with the clubs. Yeah.
And I gotta say, what's the best thing about these fight scenes, Phil? No shaky cam bullshit.
Dude, I was thinking about that when I was watching that for you, and it wasn't shaky cam. It was what works with that. A cam that was following, which sometimes the camera shakes for a little bit. And I don't mean a lot. I mean like that or something going around a corner. That is good use. It did a minuscule amount, but enough.
There was no shaky cam. There was no shaky cam.
No, it was a
technique going on.
No, I agree with you, but the camera did tilt a few times.
Tilting is not the same. That's following the shot. That's getting the shot. That's keeping it clear for the viewer. Fantastic action, well choreographed, brutal punches being landed. This is what the viewer wants to see. They don't want to see a bunch of like, oh, someone must have just got hit. Oh, look at someone's getting beat up.
Oh shit, Joe, stop watching the latest Zack Snyder movie. Stop.
Like, no, it's just it's good to see good choreography. It's a dance. If it's done right, it's gonna look brutal. It's gonna look real. It's gonna have a certain magnificence to it where you don't need to shake. You're shaking your camera because your choreographer sucks. You're shaking your camera because you know the shit that you just filmed was stupid and pathetic.
And I tend to agree with you. A lot of times they put the shaky cam in just because they don't know how to. The action is filmed so horribly, but they film the action on this show so clean. And there was some element of not straight up like this, but there was a Jackie Chan inspired moment in the scene where they're in the actual hospital room. And he's fighting and he's so tired he's on the ground and he kicks he kicks the thing out under the dude. I just thought of a Jackie Chan kind of moment where
and he slides it in, he jams him between the wall first, and then the guy's getting back up and he kicks it out from no, it was very very well done, even to the point where Matt picks up the goddamn fucking syringe off the ground and jams it into the fucking guy.
Dude,
that was wonderful. I loved seeing that. I loved it. I don't care what it is in that syringe. I don't care how much I just put in this motherfucker. Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. And that scene just did not let up. It did not let up. It didn't cut. It followed around the whole time.
It was one shot too, all the way up until the Albanian. Right?
Totally one shot. Totally one shot the whole fucking time. I don't know
right from the moment he gets into that, they bring him into that room. When the door shuts from that point on, I'm pretty sure you're right. They did that one shot shit. That one camera, one shot, follow it around, get it all the action. I can't stress enough that groundwork was fucking amazing. He takes his shots at people while he's still on the ground, while they're on the ground. Like, wonderfully done.
Yeah,
you don't waste an opportunity to fucking knock someone's tooth out, to put someone's nose in the back of their fucking head.
And that, I've said it a few times, but that is what this show does better than most other shows on television.
This and Punisher,
yeah. Punisher. It does it better than any of the other series of the Netflix universe, and it's on a different level and a lot of action.
The only other action that I can say is on the same level. Now, there are TV shows that are obviously I consider a higher caliber show than this.
Right. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about specifically
the action,
the action, the choreography, and the
choreography of action. Whether
You don't watch like I watch the CW shows.
Oh God!
Which it looks like a dance. When you watch a fight on Arrow, which it's well orchestrated, I'll say, but it smells of the choreography, and everything's clean. Everything's like boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's almost like when you can watching
see the punches being pulled as well. Right,
you're watching Joffrey do sword play. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right. Or in Gladiator with what's his name, with Russell Crowe watching what
them practice and shit.
Them practice and shit compared to what a real fight is.
Right.
There's almost some element of that between watching this compared to what they do on something like Arrow.
The only other show that compares to this and the Punisher as far as like their straight up brutality and action is Strike Back. And the way that they choreograph the action scenes. I know it's a different type of action scene. It's not this hand-to-hand fighting style. It's weaponry. It's warfare style. It's urban sieges and shit like that. Yeah. And kicking the door, kind of go get the guy out of the building. But what they do in Strike Back, the way they shoot it, the way they communicate during these events, the way that it's all put together, the way that it's choreographed on screen, those action sequences. And it's not the best show either. It's kind of a cheesy show. It's a tit and ass show for the first couple seasons, along with the action, but it's on. I think it's a Cinemax, right? Or so originally,
it needs to respect the skin a mask title
for at least the first couple seasons, right? And then you can get away from the tits and put in a little bit more action, a little bit more character development and plot. But Cinemax pulls you in for the first 3 seasons.
You need to. You need to go through the curtain of tits to get to the good stuff.
Even Game of Thrones, like look at the first couple of seasons. There's a lot more tit and sex than, but that is the only other show, aside from these, that gets action done as well, done realistically right.
You mentioned it as well. I would also add some of those final couple of episodes, like the Battle of the Bastards, Hard Home with Game of Thrones. But I consider Game of Thrones almost a theatrical thing. I almost consider it and I know that's unfair, but I almost consider Game of Thrones a different conversation. It's like when you're discussing certain things.
It's better than most movies, and it's better than all television.
Right. And so it's not even fair to put it before someone says, what about Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones it's a given. We're not going to have to bring in the action there, because especially these final couple of seasons, even whatever you say about the way the story hasn't been as tight, the action quality visually has just gone higher and higher, whether it's the Arthur Dane fight, whether it's the dragons, the dragon fights with Jaime on the battlefield, like all that stuff. Visually, things just keep looking better and better. But back to Daredevil. Yeah. In general, this was people like, you guys gonna finally talk about Game of Thrones? Finally? No, it's coming. Don't worry, guys, it's coming. But let's go in the live chat for a second. Broke said that fight scene at the prison, the balls to the wall excitement right there. But Matt was stupid enough to get in the car that was waiting for him. I would have walked away or ordered a new one at least.
I think he thought it was the same taxi that he took to get there.
He did, but I love that this aspect of the episode was there too within that fight, because David and I were talking about something with The Walking Dead, and we will try to do a What Did Joe Think About The Walking Dead episode, or just in general, get Joe on next week for that to talk about that. But either way, we were talking a lot about surprise last night. And basically, I got to admit, when Matt steps into that prison, it took me until the moment that Matt heard the syringe to fully realize what was going on.
No. As soon as he was like, no, you need to come to the infirmary and fill out paperwork, I was like,
okay, fair. For me, I underestimated the Kingpin.
But I thought, I knew something was about to happen, but I thought it was the Albanian going to be making contact in the doctor's room. Right.
Okay, so we were both in the similar way that we both underestimated the Kingpin. The fact that we got the Kingpin on the phone in that conversation, in that discussion point, that was just so sick. I mean, we want to talk about the whole thing, but the lead up to it was amazing as well. The way Fisk taunts him, because I believe him. I believe when Fisk says, I would have left you. I can't do a Fisk voice.
I would have, bygones be bygones.
You beat me in a fight, fair and square. You kicked my ass. You put me in here. I'll accept that.
You threatened my fucking wife after it was over.
Yeah. You're an asshole. You're an asshole, and I'm going to make you pay for that for the rest of your fucking life. And I believed it. And it was that reinvigoration of knowing how manipulative the Kingpin can be. And you get that at the end of this episode, too. I don't want to understate how awesome Wilson Fisk was in this episode, too. About how
he's fucking awesome.
Amazing. And it took away a little bit in the last episode.
He becomes Spider-Man's biggest fuck too, doesn't he?
He's everyone's biggest fuck in the sense of the same way Dr. Doom starts off with the Fantastic Four, but he's such a fuck that he becomes everyone's fuck. But the Kingpin, anything that happens on that level is controlled by the Kingpin, but
somehow goes through Kingpin.
Spider-Man and Punisher are probably his biggest one-to-one issue
and
kind
Daredevil.
of people. And I meant Daredevil as well. I meant Spider-Man and Daredevil are probably his biggest ones. And obviously the Punisher as well has
mostly based in New York.
Right, has his hair across his ass because of Kingpin, because he realizes what the Kingpin can do. But I love that. We talked about this in the first couple of episodes. Getting to see him back on the scene, being Wilson Fisk and running things, the way he's manipulating Poindexter is
brilliant.
Masterclass manipulation. Getting on, because it's not overly obvious to everybody except for the audience that knows who he is because he's accepting I'm a piece of shit. I mean, that's a great manipulation tactic. When you start the business by saying, I know I'm awful and you're just protecting good people and good this and they don't appreciate you and blah, blah. Like, he is catering on every single point.
Yeah, Kingpin has never been, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as we see in this series, he's never been anything but sincere.
Yeah. For the most part, he likes you to know.
All this stuff that he is saying, you were protecting heroes. Those heroes, your brothers that fell were heroes. He believes that.
I
he doesn't not believe it.
100%.
That's not part of his moral code to be that person.
Yep.
He doesn't have his gray area is a lot larger. Yes, there is black and there is white, but he has no moral compass that most people would have, but he also has no need for the extra levels of deceit when it comes to stuff. He
has a sense of honor in a weird sense of honor.
Right.
I'm agreeing with you 100%. He has that sense of honor. And this goes to something we said a couple of these mini casts ago about the interesting parallel that we see this dynamic so many times. I am you, you're me, we're the same. Again, we were talking about this last night. I was talking about this last night with David about how something in The Walking Dead last night was ham-fisted in on, I'm like you, you're like me, we're two sides of the same coin. That gets used so much in so many things. And the way they do it with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk is refreshing as hell. Because Fisk has, again, all these traits that you expect on a hero in a way. An honesty about him. This genuineness that he doesn't deceive. He wants to be the guy that says the thing to your face and does it anyway. There's a manipulation to it all. There's tactics. He might not tell you the whole truth. He might go, exact words. I'm not going to hurt you, but I didn't say my guards wouldn't. Ha, ha, ha. He might say something like that, but he wants to be honest in this weird sort of sense. And not that he's a true honest person. That's not what I mean. He's a manipulated, fucking lying sociopath.
There's a lot of deceit going on behind the scenes that we don't see. Obviously, he's laundering money, and he stabbed himself, and all
that this. That was the other thing I underestimated, the stabbing himself. I'm like, oh shit, he totally stabbed himself.
Oh yeah, he totally did. He totally did. Once it's said, you're like, of course, right?
What am I, an idiot? Yeah, I didn't realize that. Oh, what a fucking moron. And I guess that's the thing with him, that it's not that I underestimate Wilson Fisk. It's that we haven't seen him in action for a couple of seasons. So to see him kind of hit the scene again doing his thing is not a bad shock to the system, but I got to get used to what his tactics are again. And it's just a lot of fun to see.
It doesn't make Falcone, every incarnation of Falcone, look like trash.
He makes every incarnation of that, and that's where this show for me, because you don't watch this stuff, and Broke does, who's in the chat right now. I'm not just talking about the CW shows. I watch Gotham as well.
Yep. I watch the villains.
I watch all. He's better than all of those villains. He is better than, and I don't know how religiously you watch the Marvel movies.
I've seen them all.
Okay, he trumps most of them too. I mean, he's definitely
on Venom yet, but
okay, that's a Sony movie. It's not really even a Marvel movie, so who gives a shit? Let's go in the live chat, motherfuckers here. Hey guys, just wanted to drop a hello to you all before heading to work. Quick suggestion: The Raid, the cinematography, choreography, and editing in those fight scenes.
The Raid is okay, but something, is it called something brother, or where with this guy, he gets taken hostage for like 20 years, and then he's just suddenly kind of set free.
Oh wow!
Tell me what the name of that movie is. Someone in this putting it in right now.
And thank you, live chatter comment section later. Broke says Fisk rivals them Gotham villains.
It's a remake with Josh Brolin.
Broke says I'm too biased to admit he's better than all the Gotham villains. I hear you that you're too biased. You're a Gotham fanboy, and I'm definitely with you in the sense that I enjoy Gotham more than a lot of people. But I think it's very campy. You have to either adapt to the campiness and embrace that, whereas Fisk isn't realistic. And this is the thing about Daredevil. I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying, oh, this show is so fucking realistic. What I'm saying is is the action, the feeling that you get when you feel it. You feel it like it's real hits and stuff. It's not overly staged like a dance. It's still, you're dealing with a blind guy with super sonar powers and a huge muscle of a man like Wilson Fisk that just, people like that don't exist in real life. Or with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, or people like the Iron Fist aren't allowed to live. I mean, for whatever it's worth, they're unbelievable characters. So we're in an unbelievable universe. But I mean, the sense of, when I say sense of realism, a sense of characters making sense and their identities making sense. And I think in that definition, Fisk is probably one of the best villains to screen.
A mob boss that's got exorbitant, like his strength, physical strength is as much as his
brain, as his mental assets as
right.
well. And Cottonmouth was a very good villain. I think in general, the Netflix series have presented decent villains. I also think Mariah is a good villain for Luke Cage. I think both of them are. I don't necessarily like Luke's brother when he showed up there.
Stupid.
And I didn't like Jessica Jones's mother. I thought season 2 of Jessica Jones, all in all, I had fun watching it, but on rewatches, it didn't hold up. I think the best stuff is Jessica alone in that season. And hey, I want your cray cray. I think she's an amazing character. I think I can't stand her either, but I think she's, compared to someone like Karen, I enjoy her more as a character. But
it's the same character, so you enjoy the actress more.
Maybe. Well, that's a discussion for a different day. And I think arguably you could argue that David Tennant is as effective of a villain in season 1 of Jessica Jones as Wilson Fisk is. But I would still say Vincent D'Onofrio has the edge.
Yeah, he does.
He has the edge. I could see that argument made, I guess is all I'm saying.
VD gets it for me, baby.
Yeah, VD wins every time, Joe. So Diamondback was an inferior villain, but I enjoyed his hamminess. That's kind of how I feel with Atari Dad. I thought the end of Luke Cage got a little too hammy with Diamondback, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Kevin Cleary, great to see you in the live chat. The Spider-Man PS4 game was very obviously the D'Onofrio Kingpin, which I liked. I like how he is the inspiration for the Kingpin moving forward. I think we're going a little longer than our usual podcast on this one because of how excited we are, and it's our last one for today. So I don't care. We didn't quite get to talk as much about the last episode because of technical difficulties. So let's go through a couple of quick things about this episode, and then we'll call this mini stream a day, and then we'll either be back tomorrow or Wednesday with some more episodes. The episode opens up with Fisk being one step ahead of the FBI, and this recap is thanks to comingsoon.net. Daredevil Season 3, Episode 4 opens up with Fisk staying one step ahead of the FBI, while Dex leads the agents into Fisk's bedroom to search the first thing in the morning. Fisk is awake and waiting for them. He continues to take an interest in Dex. How long before we see Dex become full-on bullseye? Next episode. Okay, next episode.
Episode after.
The episode after.
Next episode is the finishing of the recruiting. Episode after, we have full-on bullseye going on.
Okay. Foggy tells his really, really fun wife or girlfriend all about his encounter with Matt. She kind of says, listen, Foggy, let's use this as an opportunity for you to run for office, and gets behind him as a writing candidate to be the DA, which someone said something to me in a comment, and I'm not turning around just because of what they said, but I agree. I like Foggy in concept. I like Foggy when he's with Matt. What I don't like is some of his overt conversational aspects of the way the actor plays him. I do kind of like this Foggy side story. I like the Foggy being like, fuck you, and kind of taking matters into his own hands a little bit. But I think it's going to turn into a very Lois Lane kind of situation with him and Matt. And he's just going to be pushing, constantly be fucking things up, and Matt has to save him at the last minute. I think that's going to be the nature of the Foggy dynamic. You're in mute, Joe. Just so you, just in case you know.
No.
What do you think?
I see the opposite.
Do it. Tell me. You think Foggy is going to get the boss?
Foggy and Karen are Murdock's way back.
Ooh, interesting. So you think that this is something we didn't talk about. Do you think that Matt Murdock is really dead? What he says to Foggy, that Matt Murdock will never be back.
No. And it's just in the fact that he's like, so promise me you'll both stay out of it.
Yeah. And then he's crying when he leaves the office there for a second. He like seems emotional when he steals Foggy's wallet.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's but I do think Foggy's going to get himself in trouble. But I liked Foggy a little bit more in this episode, so he's going to launch a campaign in the police event.
Girl.
Oh, you see Lotus down there? Hey, Lotus. Whoa, who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? So then we get Karen and Foggy. Foggy tells Karen about what's going on, and this is where Karen sort of breaks and decides, fuck all. Do you like the Karen being influenced by Frank aspect of that? Do you like that as we constantly are kind of bashing Karen, but I'll say this, that even in the Friday the 13th movies, the shitty Friday the 13th movies, they manage to, where am I going with this? They manage to always have that part of Jason's face mask that has a hack in it from the third movie when it first happened. They keep that consistency on. So I appreciate that they're keeping the Punisher influence on Karen. But Joe, did you like her at all any more in this episode, kind of going the Punisher route a few times?
No, it's actually really stupid. But, like, here's the thing. What if she drops the gun? What if, what if they all have guns too?
Oh, she's crazy. She's acting like an idiot. I'm not gonna color-code it.
That's just stupid.
She's doing Fredo type stuff.
She doesn't have enough risky shit going on in her life, like taking on this Fisk shit. She doesn't have enough horrible shit going on in her life, thinking her best friend's been dead for so long. She doesn't have enough crap to worry about. She's gonna go fucking be vigilante to, loudmouths on the street.
No, she's an idiot and gonna get someone hurt. Promise me you'll stay out of it. Means as
like,
Brooke
yeah,
said,
she's gonna shoot them, right? She's gonna shoot them, and then what? Explain to the police, yeah, no. I told you I didn't shoot my brother back then, but I shot them.
Broke says
self-defense, I swear. That'll look real good for her.
Broke adds, promise me you'll stay out of it means, bitch, you can be part of it. Just don't die because we need to get another season. I agree with you, Joe. Ultimately, I do just like some of the consistency of showing that Frank had some sort of influence on her long term. She's driving me nuts and making stupid mistakes.
Yeah, because Frank gave her a gun, didn't he?
Yes, I believe that's Frank's gun that he gave her for protection. And I wonder if she's going to show up on whatever the next season of Punisher that we get. Now,
of course,
Ray's family is not handling the attack on the FBI transport well. His wife is upset and their child is not sleeping. I was going to ask you, do you give a shit about Ray and his whole story?
Two shits. Don't care. Big deal. Fuck him.
Yeah. Like, do you think
he should have died 2 episodes ago?
Is he going to continue to be a legitimate factor, or what we were saying last time?
How has he been a legitimate factor in the first place?
I mean, taking up screen time. Do you think that we'll get rid of him soon? Will he be are they building him
by commercial breaks? What?
I was at either that, or are they building him up Buttercup to break him down? Like, are they just building him up to be a Ken on The Walking Dead? Essentially, I'm sorry to spoil.
Just
Ken's
to kill
death.
him in like an episode or two.
Yeah, to make us like somewhat relate to his family, just to make him be expendable at the end.
Because he's gonna be the guy on the inside, right, that takes down his dirty, crooked boss that told him to lie to his kid.
Okay.
Who helped facilitate Fisk getting back into his
overacting boss, who's just like, I'm going to tell you a story about my child.
And your credit rating sucks, so no raise for you.
Yeah, Expedia.com. So real heroes are dismissed. Dex continues to antagonize Fisk by eating his sandwich. During the watch, Poindexter is asked to leave by a sympathetic Ray, who is grateful that he stopped the attack. However, forensic evidence from the attack scene contradicts his report. The agent interrogates Fisk about it. It's not a really big interrogation. This was the interrogation. Joe, did you
what happened?
What happened?
XYZ.
Yeah, tell me your side of the story. It wasn't really an interrogation. It was more of a, hey, and they don't even push him on it. This is fucking the Kingpin. And I know he said that he's an honest kind of guy, but he's still one of the most manipulative people you've seen in this city ever. And you're taking him for basically
lied right then and there too, didn't he? Because they were on their knees giving up and pulls out, fuck that shit.
Yeah, and you're taking the fucking Kingpin. Yeah, you're taking the Kingpin for face value. Give me a fucking break there. No, do not take this asshole for face value.
Why weren't there 100 dash cams around?
Yeah, a good fucking question. And especially on that truck to at least see if it was going to be attacked. At least sort of like the cameras attached to the outside of the truck to like film the scene if there was an attack or anything. But whatever. So let me continue here. Almost a few more things happen in this episode. Dex, so then eventually he goes to Fisk, shuts off all the cameras, which, oh God, now I'm being you here. So if he shuts off all the cameras for 5 minutes in that setup, wouldn't there be a check and balance system where somehow there's a record that all the cameras were shut off at X o'clock? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that, but
there would be. And Fisk is either hyper intelligent, right? And he knows, oh, this is obviously that dude coming in, to say, what the fuck, man? You lied, or what? Albanians coming to kill me. All the cameras are getting turned off.
I also want to add one other
But why would the Albanians turn the cameras off?
And one other little minor thing, Joe, that Fisk lies to those guys. He's like lying to the officers about or the interrogators about what happened with Bullseye. And then what he does, because this wouldn't seem horrible to anyone that checked the records. Like if these people the interrogates, he just turns and looks at the camera.
Director choice.
Yeah, it was. I understand why they did it, but if we're going to
they had already given he's talking to them, and the camera's up here, and they had already given he kind of leaned angles at the camera while he's telling the lie.
Yeah, they did.
That would have been enough. That would have been enough.
Yeah, they did not need to have him do the
extra stare down.
Yeah, with the kind of dark music there for a second to go, oh, he's lying. Like we don't know he's fucking lying. But anyways, Dex goes in there and he says to him, "Hey, dude, I got to. Why'd you save me?" And Fisk, we kind of already talked about this. Fisk manipulates him further and says, "Listen, you are a talented person. You need to do what I want you to do." So then we get back to
with such talents.
We get back to where we started our adventure here, and we first talked about Matt enters the prison. Last element we need to talk about, posing as Foggy. They obviously let him in. They know who he is. Wilson Fisk wasn't necessarily ready for him, but he probably said, "You ever see this man, you call me." And since he's in full control, he wants to know why Fisk gave the FBI information to the Albanians. Inside, all hell breaks loose. Fisk is in still control of the prison guards. Matt is saved by the Albanians, who explained to him that they didn't attack Fisk for snitching. He attacked himself. Matt convinces them to help him get him out of there. So some Albanians sort of escort him out after a crazy fight scene. Joe and I talked about that all at the beginning. No reason to go back over that. One of the best fight scenes on television this year in a long, long time. And fits right in with the Punisher scene in the prison, in the Daredevil opening scene, so many other ones in this particular universe, specifically in the Daredevil and the Punisher universes. I think there's one in the Defenders that's a little too cheesy to be too good, but they try to simulate it. But this one was back to that raw and gritty bullshit.
Yeah, it was great.
So Joe, we'll be back maybe tomorrow. Possibly the next day, but probably sometime tomorrow for a couple more episodes, or Wednesday. Any thoughts?
We'll be back on the 31st for sure, but we might be back tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Either way, we'll be back on Wednesday for a couple of episodes, but maybe tomorrow. And anything else about this episode we didn't get to say, or anything else you're hoping to see? Do you think that they can top? Do they have to top that action scene for you?
That action sequence was easily toppable. Here's the thing. You have an action sequence like that. As long as you don't give us shit choreography that looks like what you were talking about, the CW stuff, that
or the iron, or as Brooke says, or if the Iron Fist is there,
right? Then there's no reason why those fight scenes can't be as good. Future fight scenes, right? They can easily make them good. I can't wait to see how we are. I'm really interested in our interplay between Daredevil and Bullseye.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I mean, what is Daredevil? I mean, do you think, a couple more questions moving forward, and then we'll go. Do you think Daredevil gets his costume back, full costume back?
This season?
Yes.
I can't answer that honestly at this point because I know.
Oh, because you know. Okay, fuck off. And it is in all the trailers, so I assume it comes back. But I won't ask, I won't push you for too much information.
If you want, I'll give the spoiler to you and the audience.
No. Not yet. And will we? Fuck you, Joe. And
I only know because someone told me at work.
Okay. And will we get a confrontation between, like, a physical confrontation again between Wilson Fisk and the Daredevil before the end of this?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's not something I know or I've been told. But how do you build all this up without it? There'll be a pre-fight around what, episode 7, 6 or 7, maybe.
Does Vanessa die?
Who's Vanessa?
Kingpin's girlfriend.
She's not even going to show up in this season. She's just a talk piece. There's no need to bring her back.
I think the reason to bring her back is if she dies, something happens to her. I think we might not see her, but I have a feeling she's going to disappear or be gone. Because she got kidnapped. They announced the episode she's missing. Oh no! Then they found her in Spain, and he wants to bring her closer. Okay, that was the outcome of that. I think she dies because I think we're going to see Kingpin unleashed this season. What happens to the Kingpin if Vanessa doesn't exist? I think that's an interesting thought. And I think we might get that at some point in time. I think Matt's going to try to get to her and something's going to happen to her while he's trying to protect her from the Albanians or something. Like, I don't know. And Kingpin's going to go ape dog shit. At least that's how I feel like it's going to go. I think, but I don't know. I could be wrong. We shall see. Anyways, Joe and I will be back definitely on Wednesday the 31st. Maybe tomorrow to see some more Daredevil. And I might be back later this evening, either on my Twitch channel, Dirty Issues, or the regular channel, streaming some Red Dead Redemption. So Joe, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Word.
Later. Oh, and quickly, did you get to see The Walking Dead last night?
No, but I watched it this morning before you called me.
Do you have a short, brief review of it before we get into your thoughts next week?
A short, brief review?
No. We're going to hold off. Joe has watched it. We will try to do a What Did Joe Think this week. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Peace.